I have been SG of ODM for the past 4 years, so by now I am used to the general sense of deflation in the room when people are waiting for Raila Odinga, then Sifuna is the one who walks into the room. I could hear some of you loudly thinking, why are we standing up and it's only Sifuna? I can tell you that the feeling was also mutual. I was actually embarrassed that you were standing up for me. I know that honor is reserved for Mheshimiwa Raila. At least the person who was responsible for rolling out the red carpet had the sense not to roll it out and saved me further embarrassment. So they say there's only one Baba, so I'm not going to try to fit in his shoes, but he has prepared a speech on the theme of the day, and he will allow me to read it at some point. But before I do that, allow me to say a few things. First, I want to pass the apologies of our area MCA, Osman Khalif, who's the MCA for South Sea, and of course our women rep, Madam Pasaris, who was on the program, but SG, she was unable to join us today. People have spoken, na hata mimi mtaniruhusu nifungue roho, si ndio? Yeah. First of all, as SG of ODM, perhaps people don't expect us to be in these forums discussing peaceful elections. I am painfully aware of the tag of violence that hangs over my political party, ODM. I am painfully aware of that tag. And many of you will be looking at me standing here and saying, why is Sifuna talking? Him and his political party are the problem. I attribute this perception against this party on three things. Number one, I confess that in fact some of it is self-inflicted. There are events like the 2007 election, and of course the infamous Men in Black incident at Kasarani in 2015, that of course have not helped matters. They have helped to cement this perception that ODM and violence are in the same WhatsApp group. The other thing that I think is responsible for this tag is a failure to appreciate fully the constitutional rights that have been set out under Article 37 of the Constitution. ODM is linked most of the time with demonstrations in Maandamano. We have made that right under Article 37 fully available to us as a political party. And sometimes we are judged on the basis of that. But of course, this is a right that is available to all other political parties. The third reason why I think this perception hangs over us is actions of our opponents. And we have recently had confession from some of our opponents that in fact they have sponsored activities and actions that portray this party in bad light, but then they attribute that perception or those actions to ODM. I will refer you to the recent confession by the former governor of Nairobi, Mike Sonko, on some of the things that they have done to push this perception that ODM is a violent party or a party that sponsors violence. I have, in the time that I've been as SG, also faced immense frustration, especially from our friends in the media, that any slight semblance of violence that is attributable or attached to the party is given undue prominence in the media. And whenever we do anything that is, not in line with that reputation, nobody bothers to give coverage to that. I remember when we went into the elections in Kibra, there was a by-election in Kibra, and you could almost sense the anticipation in media. Do you know that until I became SG, I did not know that newspapers are written before the events happen. I didn't know. Are you aware? Are you aware that stories are written before you do the thing that is supposed to be, reported on. So my brothers in media houses already had stories about the violence that was going to happen in Kibra. And they feel very annoyed. I am not the most popular person in most editorial rooms. I can tell you this for a fact. I am not popular in editorial rooms because I speak about these things. In Kibra, they had already written the headlines, and when there was no violence, nothing pains newspapers more than having to recall editions that had already been sent to press. There was another one recently about our presidential candidate, and they were prodding me. Sifuna has so and so applied. I told them, why don't you wait? Why don't you wait for the event to happen, then you report? But they had already printed the headlines. So the next day, when Sifuna was telling them that, in fact, Raila Odinga did not apply, those people almost killed me. There was an editorial in a leading newspaper castigating Sifuna for joking around with the candidature of somebody of the stature of Raila Odinga. It was because they refused to wait. So this is a problem we have struggled with. But as ODM, I want to say here, we as a political party do not believe in winning at all costs. We do not believe in winning elections at all costs. There are things that we are not prepared to do to win. And that is the question we must pose to all political parties. Are there things that these political parties, is there a line that they will not cross? For us, we are into every context knowing very well that we can win or lose. We also do not believe in any person that we are competing against. We don't perceive any person we are competing against as an enemy. And this is why it was shock on the country when, after a bitterly contested election, my party leader, the person I'm representing here today, was able to put all that aside for the sake of the unity of this country and shook President Uhuru Kenyatta's hand. Many people were taken by surprise. But that is who we are. Nobody is an enemy, we are only competitors. And that we believe there are things that we will not do just to cement our position as, politicians in this country. So we believe in peace and unity as a basis of development. That is why my party leader has decided to campaign on a platform of unity and peace as a basis of every development. They are telling us that it is not as romantic as the other proposals that have been put elsewhere. That in fact this discussion about peace is boring. We are being told we are being boring. We are not matching up to the other exciting ideas that have been put forward. We are resisting that temptation to be exciting. We are resisting that temptation to stir up emotions. And by the way, it is not something easy to do. We believe that there is no economic model that you can take to a country that is in turmoil. We have asked this question before. Which economic model can you take to, say, Afghanistan after the recent developments in Afghanistan? There's actually no economic model that can work in the absence of peace and unity. Tumeanzisha Azimio la Umoja knowing very well that it is not as catchy. It's not as catchy as the other phrases that are being thrown around. But we believe honestly that in the absence of peace, there is actually no discussion you can have about the economy. Now, Reverend Kobia, I am very glad that you have spared me even further embarrassment, because I stand here in front of you knowing very well that Sifuna is not perfect, that ODM is in fact not perfect, and I have touched on some of those reasons. Reverend Kobia, I was waiting for you to tell people that in fact Sifuna has been a guest at your offices in the NCIC, but let me say it because I know why you do not want to say it. You might not want to embarrass your son in front of this audience. I have had a conversation with Reverend Kobia. One time, I attribute it to what we call a rush of blood to the head in the heat of campaigns. We feel very frustrated Reverend, and I share this with you, when we see no action being taken against other people when they direct this vitriol at us, I have argued that in fact, if you want NCIC to take action against a politician who's directing things at you, you must take the microphone and respond, then they'll call both of you. They will call both of you. Because for as long as it is just them talking, we feel, this is a perception. And Reverend Kobia sat me down and took me through some of these things to persuade me that in fact that is not the situation. Even as we speak, I have reached out to the commission about some pronouncements from some of our friends telling us ODM, selling ODM here is like selling bang, we don't want you here, and so on and so forth. But no action has been taken. They are waiting for Sifuna to respond to those remarks. Then they can summon both of us. I think they say it is in the spirit of equality. And because watu walifungua roho, pia mimi wache tu nifungue roho. Si ndio? We also feel the same, even when it comes to the press, that we will see our political opponents holding rally after rally after rally. Nothing will be said. The day Raila addresses a crowd somewhere, we are put both in the headline and they say, super spreaders. Super spreaders. So we face these frustrations as well. So in the NCIC, we have people who are known hate mongers, people we consider the poster children for hate speech. None of those people has ever actually gotten, any consequences from a legal perspective. And it is very, very frustrating. Non-hate mongers, and I don't want to mention them, they have said the most vile things, including things that are just obviously criminal. Oh, I am going to supply you with these pangas, they are not for slashing grass. Kata mutu. Even with that extent, we don't see political consequences or legal consequences. What is happening, Reverend, is that there is a very strong pull. There's a very strong pull to accept things that are not correct. We are being, persuaded that somehow values in politics do not matter anymore. That I could be a known thief, a known murderer, or whatever else. But for as long as I am able to give money to the young people here, to donate money to churches, that it is okay. We are being persuaded that in fact truth doesn't matter anymore. That facts don't matter anymore. That in fact, if the history that is the true history of Sifuna does not work for him, I can actually rewrite my history and put myself in the driver's seat of that pickup that was taking people to Kamkunji in 1991. When I know in 1991 I was like 10 years old. But because it is now fashionable to rewrite history, Sifuna was the one driving the pickup carrying Martin Shikuku to Kamkunji. Truth doesn't matter. Facts don't matter. Values don't matter. Morals don't matter. That is the invitation. That is the invitation. We believe that we can resist these invitations and proceed to, undertake politics of principle again. Rafiki zangu hao wa kuza sanaa, I was laughing with Mutuna there, that, if small changes can make a very big difference. Hawa watu wanajiita kuza sanaa. If I just throw one letter A to the other side, inakuwa kuzaa sana. Small things. Wamezungumzia hapa swala la kabila yetu, swala la chama chetu, na wakasema huko tulitoka kitambo. We believe at ODM in building national political parties because that is what the constitution and the law expects. Sifuna here is one of the examples. I have resisted the urge to be a village elder or to belong to a party from my village. I have voted 3 times. I have never voted for a Luhya presidential candidate. Never ever. I voted for Kibaki, knowing full well that he is Kikuyu. I have voted for Raila twice, knowing full well that he is Luo. I want to encourage that and reinforce that message by Kuza Sana, that honestly speaking, we must depart from those conversations where we are being put in pigeonholes. That because Sifuna is a Bukusu, he should be in Ford Kenya. That because I am a Luya, I must support a Luya candidate. We will follow principle, we will follow conviction, we will follow people who have a history of standing up for something. And that is the position that I have taken. I forgot to tell you that when I spoke to Reverend Kobia, he appealed to me as a father. And he explained to me why he had summoned me. He said he knew probably the utterances I made did not reach the threshold of criminal conduct. But he said that he was disappointed because when they look at the next generation of politicians, they say there are some things that they don't expect from us. He said he was disappointed in me because we represent the next generation of leaders. There are some things that they would wish to see us leaving behind, that we can copy the good stuff from the Wazes who are ahead of us, but that the bad manners will remain in that generation. And I actually was touched, Reverend Kobia. Your conversation with me is the only one that convinced me that in fact I needed to apologize for my remarks, not because I felt I was wrong, but because you opened my eyes to a group of people who are genuinely disappointed in my conduct because they have hope in our generation or the generation that I represent. So mambo ya kabila yetu, chama yetu, tuachane naye. Finally, free and fair and credible elections is the only basis for acceptability of election results. We must have elections that are conducted in a manner that satisfies people that it was free and fair. It makes results easy to accept. And in the absence of that, it becomes very difficult for you to control people. I want to give a commitment here as the SG of ODM that this party is committed to a peaceful election in 2022. And our commitment is not going to be in word only, it is going to be in deed. Any roadmap for peace, whether it be by NCIC or any other organization, will be supported fully by ODM. We commit here to accept the results of the election in 2022 for as long as they are free, fair, and credible. Now, I want to speak to my sister Elizabeth, then read the Prime Minister's speech. First of all, Elizabeth, if you have never heard from any politician in this country, I want to say I am sorry for what you went through in 2007. I don't say that out of a sense of guilt. I just feel like we as a political class sometimes, we hold on to our position so much that we forget to see the real picture. In 2007, I was about 25 years old. I had just finished my school of law. I was unemployed. I can say here, and you can believe me or not, that nobody told me to go to the streets after the election. But I went to the streets. That bit that you touched on about the feeling of unfairness, that there is a section of this country who don't know what to do. I mean, we are unhappy with your government. The law provides that the only way to express ourselves is through the ballot. We express ourselves through that ballot, but you still don't go. It is very, very frustrating. You feel a certain sense of helplessness that then just drives you. I was among the young people in the streets there in Bungoma. I was in Bungoma there. Nobody mobilized us. Nobody told us anything. I just remember going to bed at night. We were leading the presidential count. Then we wake up in the morning and things have just changed. And it was unacceptable. And there was no acceptable explanation. We went to the streets. I want to say that we hear you, Elizabeth. I don't think that any person need ever go through what you went through. And I am terribly sorry. It is something that no person, I wouldn't wish it on even my worst enemy. You have challenged us as political party leaders to lock out certain people that you believe are not up to the standard of leadership. And when you were speaking, I could almost see the names that you were referring to. Because I am not blind. I know the things that people say about some of the people, even in my political party, even sometimes about myself. The problem we have, and this is something I need you to indulge me, is that political parties also operate under the Constitution and under the law. It is our own Constitution that has hamstrung some of us or handcuffed us in some of the things you want us to see. Because as a lawyer, I will tell you, people will always claim the presumption of innocence. This was a big argument in 2013 when the current president and deputy were facing charges at the ICC. The courts were unable to stop them because of the so-called presumption of innocence. We are the ones who gave ourselves this constitution. And I want to say and reiterate something that Reverend Kobia said. This responsibility to lock out people of undeserving character from leadership, you as the voter will never pass it on to anyone else. I can tell you that for a fact. Please don't try to pass it to political parties because the law binds us. I cannot deny a ticket to any person on the basis of their conduct unless I have a conviction from a court of law. That is the law. So the responsibility under Article 3 to protect the Constitution, including Chapter 6, has never left every citizen. It is upon all of us. So that even when I clear people who you consider less deserving of leadership, at the ballot, you must lock those people out. So I want to challenge you, please. It is escapism to look at Sifuna. It is escapism to look at political parties. Wait for those people at the ballot and just say no. Please, it is your responsibility.